Hello, my name is Alistair. As many of you know, I've been building an Austin 7 historic car-based car with a view to participating in Bert Hadley. I've been doing this in conjunction with Paul at Vintage and Classic in Pennycook, and he's done a lot of the design work. I built the engine, and the project is pretty well finished now, but requires testing. We took it to the rolling road, and that illustrated a number of problems. We fixed them, and then we got a second visit to the rolling road, and a number of issues arose with the distributor. Then I took it, as the performance was reasonable at that point, I took it to a test day at Forestburn, and about 4 or 5 problems reared their head. Ground clearance was the main one, distributor issues, oil leaks, water leaks, and cooling. So what I'll do is I'll show you a few clips of some of the problems and some of the solutions. Here's the test setup at Cytec on the rolling road. Here are the power curves from the rolling road, power versus RPM and torque. The about 40 brake horsepower is what we were getting. The second visit to Cytec went reasonably well. We sorted some of the problems in the distributor, but not others. Then took it to Forestburn, and it scraped its way, literally scraped its way around the track because of the ground clearance issues. There's oil leaks. Sorry, Forestburn. I'll fix them for the next time. Some water leaks and some cooling issues, which I have to think about. I'll have a look at the play in that. Decided to completely modify the distributor bearing arrangement, increasing it from 22 to 54 millimeters. That's going to have a dramatic effect on the performance of the distributor. Hopefully I'll get some another visit to Cytec sometime. I'll get some visibility as well. New distributor fitted. I'd like to tell you about the suspension. There wasn't enough ground clearance on my track day. It was didn't go so much round the track, I scraped round the track. However, I decided to reset or set the springs with a bit of curvature in them to give me some extra ground clearance. And this is the jig that I made out of 3mm thick box section. And it basically uses a trestle to stop the ramp going creeping down. It holds the U-shaped jig, which is made out of 3mm steel box section. The centerpiece of it is a 10-ton jack and a plate that's with 1-inch round bars tacked on. 20mm steel plate with 1-inch separated by 4-inch bending bars, and a 1.5-inch bar on the bottom of the jack. And the top rail started to bend a bit, so I put some reinforcing bar at the top. So the whole thing can easily set the springs on an Austin 7. Here is the result of my efforts on one of the rear springs. This is the other spring that hasn't been bent yet, and requires a little bit less bending than the other side, but still needs extra ground clearance. The ground clearance on this side is about 70mm, and the ground clearance on the other side is about 100mm, so I've gained about
somewhere between 20 and 30 millimetres.
As far as the oil leaks, water leaks, and cooling issues are concerned, they'll have to wait. The cooling issues aren't too serious, provided you don't switch the engine off when you're at the approach road when they're in heavy traffic. So for now, I think you can probably ignore that and just monitor the temperature on the dashboard. The water leaks have been fixed there's a product called Steel Seal, and I would thoroughly recommend this. You get it in Halfords. It's very expensive, about 40 quid, but when it leaks, it forms a resin and it seals the whole thing up. I've used it to great success on a couple of my cars where I've got persistent leaks. The Austin 7 leaks because there's things that go into the water jacket, and like screws and things like that, and they leak out of there. So that has cured the water leaks. The oil leaks are an Austin 7 problem. I'm getting on top of them. It was leaking from the rocker cover, the gearbox, the oil pipes going to it's a pressure fed end piece, and the end piece is leaking. So I think I'm on top of the oil leaks. The cooling we'll just have to wait, but I think that covers most of the things that we've found.